to be scammed, to be taken advantage of, whether it's $50,000, whether it's 3 years of your life of being in a gaslighting or manipulative relationship. It's the same. Your energy is currency and it's expensive. Welcome to a podcast that is just dedicated to inspiring you and motivating you and waking you up to your greatness, for you to live your dreams, not your fears, for you to keep pushing forward, because let me tell you, man, I know it's fucking hard out there. And not because I have lived the challenging life, but because I just see it. I'm very fucking self-aware. I'm on social media. I see all the shit on there. I see what's happening in the media and all that kind of stuff, what they're putting out there to everyone and exposing to everybody's minds. And this is really what we want to become more aware of, is the power of your mind and how you consume information that you think is not really a big deal, or just keep watching this kind of shit, but it really, really is programming your mind. And so if you're not aware of how powerful your mind is, well, then you'll lose yourself in the world and you'll forget about the fact that you're alive. Because the less that you lose yourself, the more that you find yourself, the more you work on yourself, the more you give time and attention to yourself and your personal development, your growth, and you build this relationship with yourself, which is something that we never taught before, you'll find that you'll start getting in control of your life. I was saying this on my training that I just did about how to create a positive mindset that sticks. And I was saying that, I know that some of us have been through some really, traumatic experiences in our life or childhood, or, maybe you went through some sort of verbal abuse is bad enough, emotional abuse, physical abuse, of course. And when you've been through a lot of trauma, when you were possibly exposed to, an alcoholic parent or something like that, then I can appreciate that, you could also think and turn into exactly what you were raised. It works both ways. You can grow up and become exactly like your parents or exactly like the environment that you were raised in, or you can actually do the opposite. You can flip. And I know this because I've worked with people that have done the same. It's either you become successful, but you're still traumatized, you haven't healed, or you actually fucking plummet and you become like exactly what you were raised from. And that's why the other thing that I've learned as well is that we attract what we know, what's familiar. So for example, if you had a very abusive parent, it's very likely that as you get older, and it's crazy, it's the law of attraction is powerful, but it works. I mean, it's true, but it can also work on the wrong way. In the flip side of you wanting to be in a relationship, which you then attract, but then after being in the relationship, you realize that this person is also abusive, and they're basically the same as what you were raised with. And I know you're tuning in right now, what? And I'm like, yeah, if you had an abusive dad, for example, abusive father that beat you, and then you find yourself in a relationship with a partner that's abusive, it's like, why is that happening? And that's why you got to look, man, a subconscious mind, it's conditioning, it's what's familiar. We tend to attract in our life what is familiar, what we're used to. And so it's realizing this, learning about it, understanding the nature, understanding like what has occurred in your childhood and what you've been through, and then having to like unlearn that, reprogram. Before anyone starts working with us in our group coaching or privately, I always tell them the purpose of this process is to help you to unlearn all of the shit that has fucked us up so that we can step into our true authentic nature and power of who we truly are. And that's really what I help you guys to do, is to unlearn all of the crap that we've been conditioned with, from, into, because of generational trauma, because of shit that's happened 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 100 years ago. And this is where you free yourself. But the only way that you can free yourself is by obviously healing. And why this is so important is because when you heal, you start to discover someone that has always been there, that you've never exposed to the world, because many of us are living in so much fear from all of these experiences that we went through, whether it was bullying, physical abuse, sexual abuse, like all these experiences have turned us into someone who is closed. The purpose of life is to expand. is to open, you know? So many of us have grown up still broken, still hurt, still traumatized. Many of us are still in a cocoon. We're having relationships which are toxic. We're not living our dreams. We're not doing what we love and getting paid for it. We're working in jobs that we hate. You know, we're not surrounding ourselves with the right fucking people. We're in this vicious cycle of the lack of self-respect and not trusting ourselves and not believing in ourselves and not believing that it's possible that you can change, heal, grow, transform, become the best version of yourself, overcome your shit. We're not in that kind of mind frame because we haven't seen anything different. We can't see that. So we're stuck in a cocoon. So this is the challenge for many of us, you know, when really, as you're in the cocoon, what's supposed to happen, which is why you're listening to this transmission. And then I come into your mind and I start telling you about, you know, loving yourself and overcoming shit. And I start screaming at you and blah, blah, blah. And slowly, 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 your wings start to grow. And eventually, as you continue to listen and listen and listen, whether you work with me privately, whether you work in my group coaching programs, whether you work in my speaking programs, whether you just listen to the podcast, and that's all that's going to happen is you are going to keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And some of you might get stronger. Eventually, after 6 months, you'll realize that, okay, it's time for me to grow. Maybe after 12 months, something will happen. Maybe after a month, you'll go, whoa, light bulb, and then your wings will just go, phew, and your cocoon will fucking crack everywhere and you'll go, I'm fucking gone. It's time. I'm fucking sick of this shit. No more. It's time for me to wake up. It's time for me to go. It's time for me to fucking fly away. You know? Fuck this. I've been fucking hiding for years. You know? This is the pain of restriction. This is the pain for many of us that are living our fears, that are living in trauma and pain and suppressed energy. And we're so fucking hurt and we're so drained and we feel so low and we're on this fucking low vibration. And really what we want to do is we want to stretch. We want to open our fucking hands and go, fucking, I'm free. I'm free. Not because, oh my God, when I achieve this, I'm going to be fucking free. Oh, when I get this and I have this much money, then I'm going to be free. No, you open your fucking wings, you grow them, you take action, you learn to love the shit out of yourself, you fucking do it and you feel it and you be it. And in the fucking moment, it's like, oh my God, liberation right here. Not over there, not over there. Fucking in this moment. You may be listening to this while you're driving. And if you're driving right now, honk the shit out of your horn so people think you're fucking crazy. If you're listening, you're watching right now, make sure you share this with all of your friends so more people can freaking wake up, because we are living very unconscious lives. Most people are walking around fucking sleeping, not even knowing what the fuck's going on in their life. You feel me? Yes, I know you do. So that's why we have to do the work on ourselves. That's why I'm here, so that you can stretch, so that you can open your heart, and so that you can unlearn all of the bullshit that's happened to you, that's caused you to live in dysfunction, disconnection, and fucking depression as well, and more, of course. But I'm just holding this piece of paper, this book, because on one of my last episodes, I was going through some questions that some people who are subscribed to my Instagram platform asked me to talk about on the podcast. So I just want to finish up with these questions. And the next question was, narcissistic people and boundaries. How do you deal with narcissistic people and boundaries? And so, if we're talking, because I have a lot of experience with people in leaving toxic marriages or narcissistic relationships, marriages, and then obviously having children with these people, and then having to deal with that. You know, obviously, I believe the less communication or less contact, the better. As soon as you can not have direct communication with them. As soon as your kids are old enough for the children to have a phone of their own or iPad to communicate with the parent, so that it doesn't have to go through you, fucking do that as soon as possible. Because one thing that I've learned from myself being toxic 10 years ago and living in the ego, not loving myself, not giving a shit about other people's feelings and all that kind of stuff, that as long as they have connection with you, they feel like they're still in a relationship with you. Even if they're not in a relationship with you, as long as they are still messaging you and you're replying, even emailing you and you're replying, they still believe that they are in your fucking head and they have you. Mm. And that's fucking dirty, and it's sick, and it infuriates me. Like I get infuriated for my clients, for people that I'm working with that are having to deal with this shit, because I understand. And for me, most of my clients and people that I'm working with are dealing with men as being the toxic people, narcissists, or whatever you want to call them, right? And because I'm, a man as well, I understand the ego mind. I understand the way a man thinks, So it's very easy for me to kind of look in between the lines and see exactly what's going on and how they're fucking communicating all that shit. So, and you also learn from being in the relationships, because many of us stayed in these toxic relationships for years. And even though the signs or the red flags were there, like over and over and over again, and we were like dumbfounded, and we're like, oh, that's weird. They said they were going to do this, and then they did this, and then then I did this, but they said I didn't do this, and now I'm confused. And so it's taken all of these moments and times and times and times and experiences and lessons over and over again for you to get to this point of like awakening or realization of like, what the fuck is going on? You go so deep that it almost makes you lose yourself, and so that's the point where you're living in such disarray. You're almost delusional because you've lost so much of yourself, because it's almost like you've lost trust in yourself because they have made you fucking confused. They've made you think that you're going nuts, which is fucked. Like, it's like, how can someone make you think that you're stupid? And if you stay in that environment enough, long enough, it can happen. And that's why self-belief is so strong, so important. Self-confidence is so important. Self-love is so important. Knowing your worth is so important. Because if you don't, people will define who you become. And that's not their responsibility. It's your responsibility. You're responsible for defining yourself, respecting yourself, loving yourself, and what you tolerate. You get what you tolerate. What you allow will persist. It will keep going until you stop. In terms of boundaries, I mean, from a point of view where you're not in the relationship anymore, well, yeah, that's a game that you need to play. If you're a mum and you got kids, the one thing that I've learned, because I've worked with so many people, that where it's the men that are the narcissists or the manipulators or whatever. It's almost like, as a woman, you have to actually, as hard as this is to hear, you have to actually come to the point of realization that they're not going to give a fuck. They're not going to help you how you want them to help you. They're not going to pay you want them to pay child support, they won't pay child support. You want them to help you, or you want them to take care of the kids or take the kids or whatever. They're fucking men. They don't have that nurturing essence like a woman does. It's the truth. I know this myself because I'm a man, but not a father. I have nephews and nieces, so I'm not going to put myself in a position and talk shit because I haven't been there. But I'm just saying, from a man's point of view, I understand the dynamics of a feminine and a masculine. And that's, look, I'm sure there's small cases, but from what I've experienced and who I've worked with, I can see what's going on. And it's clear as daylight. The nurturing energy comes from the woman. And we are expecting them to play that role. Take the children for 3 days. It's your turn to have the kids, especially when the children are young. The man doesn't have fucking patience. He doesn't have patience to change the nappies and to fucking take care of fucking 2 or 3 children that are crying and shit. There's no way. So it is, and it's not easy, man. It's fucking hard. And going through separation and raising children, especially as a single mom, and that's why I know I can appreciate that why you would stay in a relationship, why you would stay together if you had a few kids and they were young, because you want the support, you need that whatever security, for financial security or whatever it is, but it's also putting the kids at risk of being exposed to whatever manipulation, abuse is going on in the house, And the only way that we can change it is by changing ourselves, The only way that it stops is when we stand up for ourselves, and we get the balls and the courage to go, it stops with me. And deep down the truth. You know deep down if something is working or something is not working. And so it's up to you, man. Like, because again, it's so true. What you allow will persist, and it will keep going and going and going. It has to hurt enough. And I, you know what? I can also understand this part of like sacrifice. Sacrifice for the children. Right? Sacrifice for the children so the children can grow up with a healthy family, or, mother and a father, or whatever, But then I come back and I go, yeah, but doesn't the kid deserve to grow up with parents that are not limiting themselves or shrinking themselves? Doesn't the children deserve to have parents who are the best versions of themselves? Not limiting themselves, not shrinking themselves, not keeping the peace, not staying comfortable. Oh, I won't do that because then maybe I'll have a breakup. I really believe that the best thing you can ever do for a child is for you to be happy and for you to be the best version of yourself. We do have this nature of being parents. Again, I'm only speaking from experience. I've got 3 older sisters. They all got fucking 10 kids. I'm speaking from all the clients that I've worked with who have got kids and are parents, that we put the children first. And it's almost like we sacrifice ourselves. And I'm like, stop sacrificing yourself and put yourself first and take care of yourself, because the better you are, the better you can give to your child. Like, that's what you want. You want your kid to feel your power. You want your kid to feel the confidence that you have. You want them to be inspired by you. You want them to emulate your energy. How can they come from you not being the best version of yourself and then expect them to live their best life? And I know that that's still possible, but I'm just saying this is the other side of the the spectrum of looking at, how you can grow and become the best version of yourself, instead of being or allowing yourself to continue to be in a toxic relationship or an unhappy relationship, but wanting the best for your kid because you put them first. So the boundaries with narcissistic stuff, it definitely comes with confidence, and obviously it's not easy, because especially when there's kids involved, man, like, you just got to keep your distance, and the less communication, the better with them, because they always feel like, as long as they can, get in your head, or, because they change the way they talk, and they're always trying to, it's always like they got a fishing rod and they're trying to reel you in slowly, and they'll say something and then they'll fucking they'll throw another bait over here and say something, then try to reel you in again. And then, and it's just like a vicious cycle. So, it's just disconnection, I believe, is the best thing. How do you deal with scammers? Okay, so this is interesting. Thanks for the question. There's a lot of scammers out there on social media. I've been scammed myself, over $100,000 back in 2020, just before I started my coaching business. So that was pretty hard. And then when my business coach reached out to me, it was pretty, I was skeptical about him, because I was like, I just been scammed. So why would I now go and pay someone? I learned from the experience, and he showed me everything that he did, and it seemed legit, and I gave it a chance. And it was the best thing I ever did, because I'm here because of him and his work, So it's really more about trusting yourself and looking at the evidence. People that follow me and that are on social media, there are so many Luke Mindpower scammers out there, using my name, creating fake accounts, and then messaging my followers and like sending them to Telegram, to WhatsApp, and all this shit. And I get it all the time, man. And unfortunately, guys, I can't do anything about it. There is so many of these people. And I know that many of you guys message me and you're like, is this you? And I'm like, no, it's not, man. Like, I don't message people directly and go, yeah, come on Telegram, or, I don't message people and go, yeah, send me $5,000 so I can invest it in some Forex or some bullshit, because that's what they do. So dealing with scammers, I've had a couple of clients that have been scammed as well. And let me tell you, it is a very, very, very dirty, uncomfortable experience to be scammed, to be taken advantage of, whether it's $50,000, whether it's 3 years of your life of being in a gaslighting or manipulative relationship. It's the same shit. Your energy is currency. Your energy is currency, and it's expensive. So whether you've been scammed $50,000 or whether you've been fucking manipulated by someone for 3 years and they've lied to you and cheated on you and behind your back and blah, 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 all that shit, same shit. Taken advantage of. How does it feel? It feels like shit. What does it teach you though? There's all I see in these experiences is just lessons. And I believe in karma, man. Every dog will have its day. If you focus on doing the wrong thing and you're fucking hurting people and you're going out there and trying to take advantage of people, that's what you're focusing on. And that's what's just going to return to you. Whereas, what I'm doing is I'm focusing on being good. I'm focusing on doing good to people, helping people. I'm focusing on the positives of life. I'm focusing on gratitude. And I'm focusing on putting out good energy out there, which is why my life is so positive. I'm so happy and vibrant because I always put out good shit. The way to deal with it is to learn from it. Learn from these experiences. Because a lot of us are new to technology and it's very easy to be taken advantage of if you're not aware of what's going on. And, these people out there, they're very, very good, so you just need to do your due diligence. And I'll leave you with this, ladies and gentlemen. If you need to message me and say, hey, Luke, is this you? You've already got your answer. If something, I've said this thousands of times, if something feels off, it's off. Stop fucking doubting yourself. If something doesn't seem right or feel right, stop doubting yourself. Listen to your gut. This is the biggest issue as why I got scammed over $100,000 because I didn't listen to my gut, my intuition. Actually, when I first went through that journey, the first month, I actually already felt it. There was something wrong, but I didn't want to believe it because I was so invested. I believed in this process and I was like, nah, I'm going to keep going. Another 10,000, another 10,000. So I learned from that experience that I needed to trust my gut, trust my intuition. So now I do. I paid the price, but I wouldn't have become successful and to be where I'm at today had I not gone through that experience. And that's why I'm grateful for every experience that I've gone through that was negative, that was bad, that was adverse, that was hurtful, that was rejection. I love it all because it helped me to wake up, helped me to grow, helped me to become who I am. So fight or flight, freeze response, or fawn response. I've never heard of fawn response, but I'm under the impression that it's to do with, being triggered. And so this is something that I have suffered with. Yeah, suffered, I would say, is the right word because I didn't even know I had it. And I wouldn't say that it's a condition. It's just a trauma response. My body is responsive to something that I've been conditioned with. So it's neurological. Every time I was triggered or I was called something or I was physically hurt or pushed around or spoken to in a specific way, I would go into fight or flight. My face would go red. I'd blush. I'd freeze. I wouldn't know how to respond. And then it would be then it always would be the case. When I was growing up, I mean, some of the years growing through my 20s, I never even questioned what was happening to me. I didn't even understand. I would just be frozen, red, heart rate increases, sweaty hands, nervous, and I would just take it. And I couldn't understand the process or just the response of the body. I didn't know what the body was doing or why I was responding like that. And then, people would say whatever they're saying and I would just be like, oh yeah, whatever. Or I'd laugh it off or keep going, keep moving forward, like keep living life, whatever. So I never even had the self-awareness to stop and go, what just happened there? I remember this one particular moment. I was driving my car. I was driving to my sister's place and I must have cut this guy off or something. And this was probably 10 years ago, I reckon. And he drove up next to me and he gave me the dirtiest look. And he looked like he came up to me and he looked at me through his car window and I shit myself. Like I got so fucking frightened of this person. He didn't even come out of the car or anything, just the way he looked at me. It could be also that I'm an empath and that I can feel energy, and the way he was projecting his energy towards me was so negative that I fucking just froze. So like he didn't even have to be close to me. He was in another car. And I'm in my car and I looked and it was so confronting that I got so scared. I kept driving and it just kept going on, But I just remember that was one of many, many moments of me going into fight or flight, into being triggered, and just not addressing it at all, not knowing what. It's funny. I was in Newport Beach in September. I was visiting a friend, and we were driving, and I think I cut someone off, and he was like, I think he beeped the horn like so many times, and he drove up next to me, and I put my window down, and I said, is everything okay? He's like, man, you cut me off, you know. I go, oh, sorry, man, I didn't see ya. My mistake. And he just looked at me and he goes, oh, okay, yeah, that's all right, man. And I was like, fuck. I was just being real, you know, like he was fucking angry and he bipping his horn shit. And I was just like, fucking, let's talk, bro. And I put my window down legit, and he was like ready to have a go. And he just said what he said. And I said, oh man, sorry, I didn't see you. Oh, it's my fault. You know, but see, I'm calm, you know, like I'm not trying to be aggressive. I'm not, even though you hear me on my podcast, I'm yelling at you and shit, but that's my motivation, you know. But like, if you're around me, I'm very peaceful, you know, and I'm not here to like create division or put any hate out there or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to make a mistake. It's like, I see like so much road rage out there. So many people are angry, bipping the horn and shit. And then you go like, what the fuck's your problem? Fuck you, this and that. And I'm just like, whoa, man, like fucking what's wrong with you people, man? Stop being fucking idiots. Wasting your energy, man. It's so stupid. But, you know, it's just a reflection of like what's going on in your life as well. You know, if you're really reactive, then it's very possible that you're not happy in your life. You're stressed. You know, you've got a lot going on, this and that. And that's fair enough. You know, you're going to take it out on people. Whereas, you know, when I drive, you know, you could say I drive like a grandma. You know, even here in Poland, when I'm driving to the gym, people are flying past me because fuck, I'm not in a hurry, man. What do I need to be in a hurry for? I'm not fucking driving 70, 80, 90 kilometers. I know it says it's 70. I'm probably doing 65 or some shit like that. But I got people flying past me all the time, you know, because I'm just chilled, man. Like, fuck, you know, so I feel like there is a lot, you know. I was driving on the road for a long time, you know. And I mean, like, what I mean by that is like my job required me to drive 2 hours to work, 2 hours back. And then being a chauffeur driver as well, before I started, you know, life coaching and motivational speaking, I was on the road, and all I was witnessing was road rage. All I was witnessing was people like bipping at it, cutting each other off. And I'm like, fucking what for? Like, if you want to get in there, fucking get in there, man. You know what I mean? Like, people getting angry because someone wants to cut into the, like, in front of them. It's like, fuck, man. Like, first world fucking problems, third world problems. Like, fucking there's people in Africa or any other parts of the world as well, in Vietnam or whatever, that fucking are struggling to fucking find food, and we're getting the shits because someone's fucking trying to cut us in the bloody on the highway. You know what I mean? Like, it's these stupid things that we do, you know. But I get it, man. That's part of life. Life isn't easy. It's stressful. It's challenging. But again, it's all about your mindset. It's all about, you know, your achievements, and you're the one that sets yourself up to be a specific way. And you've got to choose, you know. Everyone's different. I like to be peaceful. Peace, I've learned, is my superpower. The more peace I have in my life, the more I'm in flow, the more fucking good energy I have, the more I can think clearly. So that's why I'm very careful of my environment and who I surround myself with, because, you know, if I get a whiff of your negative energy, man, it won't be long before I'm out. I can't allow myself to continue to be in an environment that I know doesn't resonate. There's no resonance, you know, and you can feel that, guys. Like, you like tune in, you know. It can be family members too, and that's probably the hardest part, you know. But You got to realize, you got to feel it. You can't always allow your energy to be accessible all the time, because then you'll be zapped, and you won't have the energy for yourself. You know. So be careful of the scammers, and this fight or flight stuff is definitely something that you can heal from, but it's not something that will disappear. I still get triggered from time to time, and now that I'm so self-aware, I'm able to work through that and respond to it instead of reacting to it, and just be able to pause and reflect and think about it, and to be addressing it if it needs to be. But I mean, that's why you would work through this kind of stuff. If you worked with us in our group coaching program or privately, I would teach you different techniques on how to heal from your triggers, and how to heal and reparent yourself, and heal your childhood and all that kind of stuff, and have a relationship with your younger version of yourself. Isolation and procrastination is the last thing. So I say isolate to elevate, disconnect to reconnect. So a part of my journey back from 2018, yes, I said I'm moving to Poland. Come 2019, came back from America, and then I came back to my sister's place, and I was like, again, I had this real pull to leave, and I knew at that point that I had to leave my family, because I needed to discover who I was. I needed to spend time with myself, to understand myself without my family involved. Because what I'd learned is that I had become what they wanted me to become. Culture, religion, expectations, this is how you have to live your life. This is what your life should look like, all that kind of stuff that happens with family, And I started to question that, like, who am I? Am I what they want me to be? Or am I an individual? Am I an authentic self? Am I someone who is unique and independent and able to find my own light? Or am I just conforming and falling, into their shadows, for example? Isolation was actually a big part of my transformation, was actually leaving everything even my friends, that's what I left. I left 2018, March, when my grandmother passed, and I started changing, coming off, leaving everything behind. I left all of my friends, and then even 2019, I left all of my family, and that, the purpose of that was, again, to disconnect so that I could reconnect with myself. And so that's why I really highly recommend, to ghost, to disappear for 6 months, 12 months, if possible. Get away from your family, get away from your friends, get away from everything that you've ever known, and spend more time with yourself to understand, who am I? Who am I? Why am I here? What is it within me that I haven't discovered yet? And that's not going to happen when you're continuously surrounded by the same environment, the same people, same culture. Everything's always the same. And when everything's the same, nothing changes. And that's the thing. You can feel it again within yourself. If you're listening to this podcast, then I definitely 100% guarantee and know that there's something else in you. You know it. You feel it. You know that there's something greater. You haven't found it yet. You haven't discovered it yet, but there is. And that's why you're here, because I was the same. And I was asking the question for years. What is it? Who am I? What am I good at? What's my passion? What is my greatness? All that stuff. Isolation, I highly recommend it. Solitude is definitely amazing. But as I've also recently learned, that connection is important. So solitude and spending time with yourself is absolutely extraordinary. I highly recommend it, but find the balance. Find a balance between spending quality time with yourself and being comfortable in your own company, enjoying your own company, not being afraid of being with yourself, as you shouldn't, because you have to live with you for the rest of your life. So why the fuck would you be afraid of yourself? That's so fucking dumb. But programmed, conditioned because of shit experiences, toxic relationships, we have learned to be scared of ourselves and can't even look ourselves in the mirror because we fucking hate ourselves, because that's how we've been programmed and conditioned from a young age. So, and I'll just finish with this before I go into procrastination. This is the one thing that I love about this whole, if I marry someone or if I meet someone, then I'll be happy. That whole concept, So at the time, while I was living that kind of life of like, oh, I just want to meet someone, I just want to be in a relationship because everybody else was in relationships. I was fucking comparing myself to everyone else, and because I had no purpose, no confidence in myself, I didn't love myself. That's what I believed would bring me happiness because it seemed like everybody else that was in relationships and finding their partners and shit, they were happy. So I believed it too, that if that happened to me, I'll be happy as well. And then I realized at that moment, that if I'm not happy with me, if I don't love me, if I don't enjoy my own company, then why the fuck would somebody else? Like, if I can't enjoy my own company, why would somebody else enjoy my company? And that was the moment of like awakening for me where I was like, you know what? Wow. If I don't love me, then why do I expect someone else to love me if I can't even love me? And that was a big moment for me because I was like, yeah. And so that's what kind of inspired me and shifted me onto this new path of like, well, you know what? This whole time, all these relationships I've been through, what the universe has been taking me through, or God is basically taking me through a journey to get to a point after all of these relationships that I was in of realizing that I wasn't supposed to be looking for someone. I was supposed to find myself. And that is then when everything changed because it was like, wow, I was looking for love, but I never loved myself. And so this is the power of it when you realize that. And so now I've been on this journey and coming back to myself, and it's the best thing I've ever done because I'm not looking for anything outside of myself to make me happy. Happiness is an inside job. Materialistic possessions, yeah, but you can't take them with you. But when you have this feeling of good energy and happiness and joy and peace within your soul, within your heart, fuck, man, you don't need anything. It's the small things in life. The best things in life are free, like fresh air, and being alive and having a positive mindset and doing what you love and getting paid for it. But you have to take the action to discover your passion and your purpose and who it is that you really, really are. So it's a blessing to be alive, guys. I'm so grateful to be here with you guys. You're amazing. Thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you so much for jumping on. Thank you so much for being here, sharing my work on all your social media platforms, and for subscribing to my YouTube channel, my Rumble channel, for watching my content, for sending me gifts and comments and shares and all that stuff all over my Instagrams and Facebooks and TikToks and stuff. I appreciate it so much, man. Procrastination. Finally, this is the last thing, and then we finish up. Procrastination. For me, I've found that procrastination happens when it's out of my comfort zone and when it's something that I'm not normally used to doing. So anytime with business, it's always happened with business for me, because anytime that my business coach tells me, okay, Luke, you need to start doing this, and I'll go, yeah, no worries, I'll work on it the next week, and then next Monday I'll come back on our coaching call and I'll have it done. Come the next Monday, I haven't touched it. So what is the procrastination? Now, there's a few elements of this procrastination. It's out of your comfort zone, and it's not something that you're used to doing. And that's why I always say, yeah, start small. The other thing, start small, start simple. So start doing things like, smaller chunks. Don't try and do the whole thing. Just try and do half an hour instead of 3 hours. You have to also want it. There has to be some sort of trigger, an urgency of it. It's like healing or doing work on your personal growth or leaving a toxic relationship. It has to hurt enough. So if you're not in dire straits or in a really desperate place, and that's why, you hear in personal growth or development, you hear we either take action from inspiration or desperation. So you're either going to be inspired by this to go, I'm going to change, I'm going to work on my goals. And this is how difficult. And that's why discipline is so important, because discipline will trump consistency, will trump action, will trump anything. Discipline to do it when you don't feel like doing it. Discipline to do it when you're procrastinating. I'm procrastinating, yeah, but I'm disciplined. So discipline is one of the secrets to success. But again, inspiration or desperation, you have to be in a desperate place to actually show up and do the work, because you got no other option. You go, oh, fuck, I got to do this, man. I got no choice. And then the inspiration is like just being triggered, aha moment. Oh my God, this is the time has come. I had to hear this podcast. I had to hear what Luke had to say. I had to hear this message. And now I'm ready to go. So there's two places, inspiration or desperation, but the procrastination also is coming because there is always resistance to change. Subconsciously, we are programmed, right, to have unconscious competence where we are just really good at doing what we do all the time. And then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, but now you got to do this. And the brain is like, no, we're fucking used to doing this. We don't want to do that because doing that means you're going to stretch, you're going to expand, and you've got to create new neural networks and neural pathways to learn that new thing. And that's stressful for the brain in a sense, right? So there is resistance to change. And so that resistance will always keep you back and force you to procrastinate, as you will, go and wash the dishes, wash the car, go and watch Netflix, and you know that the most important thing I think about procrastination is that you know that you're procrastinating. And so it's up to you to kind of become aware of it and go, okay, I'm in my own way. How do I get over this? And I know this because so many of us that work with me in my group coaching, we suffer with this procrastination, doing the work, doing the exercises, and it's hard at the beginning. How do we help you achieve that and achieve the results? Guess what? Accountability. When you have accountability, when you have a team, when you have people supporting you and you're staying accountable every single week, you kind of have a little bit of pressure. Same thing as having a personal trainer, going to the gym. You don't feel like going, but because you're booked in at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning and you've already booked it in, you've already paid for it, it's like, shit, I got to go. You don't really want to go, but you go anyway because you've paid for it and you booked it in already. And I know this too because I've paid for personal trainers and I've had the same feeling.